Alright, so my podcast is called The Case of Pleaded versus Pled. These words are a little confusing because you have I pled innocent, then past tense would be they pled innocent or they pleaded innocent. So words are a little rough, but I'm going to go ahead and just say the letters out loud for each word, and then also in my captions I'm going to add the phonetic spelling to make it a little bit clearer, like the main difference between these words. So the present tense would be plead. I plead innocent. Plead. One of the past tense forms is pled. I pled innocent. Pled. The second past tense form that can be used is pleaded. I pleaded innocent. Pleaded. So that's what I am discussing today. Now, we have a good mix of people who believe that pleaded is appropriate or pled is appropriate. One of the main arguments on this podcast for the word pled being appropriate was basically the English language is really confusing. For examples that can show a pattern are if you lead someone, past tense is led. If you bleed, past tense is bled. If you speed, past tense is sped. And if you feed, past tense is feed. So, to some, it only makes sense that if you plead, past tense is pled. So, that's what we're dealing with. And then on the flip side, something that pleaded is appropriate. So, in this podcast, they discussed that pleaded has been the norm for the past few centuries. If that is by dictionary considered the correct past tense for the word plead. Pleaded took over in British English language, and pled was really dominant in Scotland, so in Scottish. The reason that we have both is immigration. So a lot of people have immigrated from both of those places, which is why we have a mix of both of these words. In the podcast, a researcher, and according to the dictionary, like I said, pleaded is the best past tense form of the word plead. A famous legal researcher says that pled is to be avoided in legal settings, as it does not come across professional. Now, according to the English professor that was on the podcast, pled is like a colloquial, and what that means is, I had to look up the definition. It means ordinary or familiar conversation, not formal or literary words. So if a word is a colloquialism like pled by chance, it means it is ordinary and not formal. Now, one litigator and researcher, someone who works for a law firm, did a study on U.S. Supreme Court cases and came to found that over 3,000 used the word pleaded, and on record only 26 have used the word pled. So the conclusion that was reached is when you're talking about law, it would be in your best interest to use pleaded, but at all other times, really it's okay to use either pled or pleaded. So this can obviously be a big help for interpreters in case we're ever in a legal setting. We of course want to not only match our consumer, but do a little bit of cultural mediation, match our environment, And I certainly would not want to go into the courtroom sounding like I may be uneducated or not as high of an education level as I need to be, which I believe some people can draw from words that you say or how you use them if you use them incorrectly, even though pled is technically okay. So there you go.